And African thought was saying, mina ngumuntu omnyama, but I also capable of thinking my thoughts, my worldview, my music, my culture. It's a representation of who I am.
Hi everyone, we've got a really special episode today of Gelin Sky's podcast. I am so excited. We have Prince Sivalo Mahlangu. Some of you will know him from Magriza Made Me Cook. He's our food and cultural expert, and I'm just looking forward to having a conversation with him about everything food, culture, maybe fitness and more. So welcome, Prince. Really so glad to have you on Gelins, guys.
Okay, thanks, Natasha, for the invite. Finally, I'm on the podcast.
Yes.
Super excited. Super excited.
Finally, you're on the podcast. Okay. I'll start off with okay, so we're recording Namsha, it's a Thursday. And before we started recording, you're telling me about your fitness instructing and that sort of thing. What does Prince have on a Thursday morning? Like, what do you eat to sort of set you up for the day? I'm interested.
Okay, so to take you on the fitness, I started fitness training, I think about 2015 now, it's 7 years. So I'm a morning person. So you won't tend to ulala early also again. But saying we are part of that what's called the 5 a.m. club. So 5 a.m. clubs is a trainer. Before training, I need food. But during training, I carry my hair. These utilizing and stuff. So that's what I take during. People say that's pre-workout or during the workout. Then after, so that's what I take after gym. Then the 10 o'clock, the breakfast, I'm a fan of Amakobelengwan. It's something that's really close to my heart. Or even what we call steamed bread, idombolo. Or Amazon call this uje. Have that pagidogi or is something light. Then during the day you can have the heavy meals, ostrala and rice, all these things heading towards the end of the day. So typically on a Thursday, start off with the training, then
that's good. So you do fasted working out. It sounds well.
Yes.
Okay. We'll come back to the fitness thing because I thought that was really, really exciting. So I mentioned to Prince, he's the producer and presenter of Magriza Made Me Cook. And if any of you have not checked it out, please do. We'll put the links. I am such a big fan of what you do because you just come from a different angle. And I think what I'll start by asking, because I'm just really interested in the whole journey. Have you been surprised by the level of engagement and the people that are just so interested in what you're doing? I think that would be my first question.
Yeah, I think you ask yourself, hey, you get messages like people saying, there's that episode that you did. Actually, the person that you interviewed was my grandmother, or Nkulwan, about 15 years back. I've never been back to Zim. So episode let me just go back home and just see my family. So that response is something that obviously is a creative that you sort of like plan. And I think what we believe in is from the Magriza team is that the work has to speak for itself. So you as a creative, you need to be in charge of the input and love the process. Don't worry about the output. Because it is really cool on the output, the number of views, the number of subscribers. Then you actually get lost in that. Just fall in love with the work and fall in love with the process. That thing just amplifies, manifests itself on its own. So yeah, it's been a nice journey these past 2 years, getting to learn more and also us being on the road. It's really to also get on to learn from the elders. So getting that information has been life lessons on our end and wisdom. I think now the most top commodity now has to be wisdom. And so the show is actually started to teach us wisdom. And yeah, actually the response has been out of this world, to say the least.
Yeah, because I've I watch the shows and I see people commenting from other countries. Okay, we also have this. We also have this in Namibia. So when you're doing the episode on marula trees, and then someone was like, "Oh, in Namibia, Tina, we call this that." So I thought, I mean, amazing, amazing. So, but how did you start? Like, take me back to what was the idea? Yeah, like what was, because you said wisdom is a commodity, and so I like the fact that Kokumankomo is like a key part of Magriza
Yeah.
Made Me Cook, and obviously Magriza is Ugogo grandmother. So I'm interested in yeah, what was the thing that made you press record and think, yeah, I can do this? Yeah.
So the wisdom, I think we're all born intelligent, but the wisdom is to balance your intelligence. So initially, I won't say when I started Magriza, it's like the first episode, I wanted to do this. I'll be lying there. But what I was fascinated about was a platform called YouTube. The fact that Siswami, I can do a video in Semakokoba, and there's someone in Korea that can watch that. To me, that we take that for granted. Because remember, online, the state medias, they can't do that. SAPC will be localized only in South Africa. ZTV will be only in Zimbabwe. But now when you do that, so I was thinking, there when I was at school, I was still at NASTA. Like, I just want to be there. So at NASTA, I was very good with numbers. I'm a numbers guy. So my academic route comes from numbers. So it's like, okay, like, why can't I into bully channel on YouTube? In terms of accounts. I think Google, and I saw like 10 million people doing the same thing. There's nothing new that I can offer on the platform. I'll be doing nothing. Now I shut that dream away, went to do my master's in SA, East London. That's where I met Amatos. So me going to school, East London wasn't per se about the masters. It was for me to meet Xhosa people because they love their culture, they love who they are. So I became fascinated about that. But it's in the we used to be so proud of who we are. What happened? So that thing manifested a thought in me. So I started fitness training at 14. And there's another platform. Let me take fitness to YouTube. That's it. Get out YouTube and how to squat it. There are 10 million videos there. There's nothing that I can offer you. It's still the same technique. So then I leave 2018, come back home. And we in Magriza, let's go a car. At a place called Mumbai, which is about 30 km from Bulawayo CBD. So when I got there, I had an epiphany. So in figure, I'm this educated guy, but I'm out of touch with the culture I am. Then I was telling my so much knowledge, but they didn't go to school. So society sort of like say, labana abafunda, labana abawazi. So like, why can't I start telling these stories of these grandmothers doing incredible work, these mothers whom didn't have a chance to go to school? But remember, school also, education becomes useless if you cannot apply it in your own context. So the guy that we started with Uzo was like, I still want to do that YouTube thing. Uzos were like, Ungalinda, and just start with anything. So that you start. Because let me cancel this, let me do this, nothing will come out. So that's where the first video of the show was a fitness video. The first was that since the fitness and then we'll take it from there. So science fitness, say shoot, and say publish, I think after 4 months. So after 4 months, I'm a child now.
Yeah.
So that is probably so. Then the second video was Amakobelengo. That's where Yeah, so from Amakabeleng 1 up to episode 10, because from episode 1 to episode 10, it was under my name, Prince Sivalo Mahlangu. Then it changed on the 11th episode, where my friend came in and was like, you need a name. I'm not saying there's something wrong with your name, but I can see which into le iyakhula, into le uyenza iqakathekile ukulondoloza amasiko. So but let's find a catchy name that will sort of like draw a brand towards what you are building. So it's episode 11 and we're shooting now. So I'm bad at coming up with names. I think the team knows that I want to if it's no. So this guy now came in with that name. Like he just asked me who was your inspiration in terms of culture and but it's just Magriza, because Magriza is slang. There's, I think, all castes across Africa. This way of we like playing with words. You always have another name. Now Natasha, there's another Nat or so Gogo. What I would Gogo so poor. This I think Magriza, So then you say no, it's Magriza. They're like, okay, so Magriza made you cook, but put it in Magriza made me cook. Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. I absolutely love it. And I like the fact that you say duty, like you have a team and your friend who came in. Because I think a lot of people, creatives, you have a vision, but to get people to support a vision, what do you think sort of made them support what you're doing? Like, what do you think was the thing that made those people come to the table?
Yeah, so I think you raise a very important point there. Even apart from the creative space, business. If you are creating a business or a brand, you really need someone that who supports your vision, and someone that you can delegate, or when you're not there, the business sort of like continues operating. So I think these guys, or because the other guys also come into the show, is the fact of preservation of culture. I think it's something that draws them deep. Once we don't document this, we actually lose ourselves in the process. So the work, it's not about prints now or uko mango. It's now about guys. For the children that are going to come, and we are just like an iPhone without an operating system. So we need to sort of like preserve this. So that's the basis. And most of these guys that come in here support what's called African thought. And African thought was saying, but I also capable of thinking my thoughts, my worldview, my music, my culture. It's a representation of who I am. So I support that. So that left me academics was that academics sort of like criticizes African thought. It doesn't support African thought. Research always have to refer to a Western scholar. You found that the North but according to someone who's in Canada, they have to like support what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's not supporting African thought. So those guys support African thought, support African philosophy, but in all they support African culture. They love African culture. So now that thing binds us together. I was saying, guys, like the late Khonto Mhlanga would say. So the work has to be so big that it becomes less of an individual, but of teamwork. And in Africa, we're all about teams. We're all about family. We're all about unity.
You know what? I will admit I had never heard of African thought. And I'll look into. I think you've explained it in a way that I probably align with it in some way, but I had never heard of that terminology. And I think it's important sometimes to have those terms where you're like, oh, okay, this is the language that explains. And I think you're right about ulondoloza and preservation of culture, because we had a conversation with Ubabu Patisanyati. So we mix it up here, and sometimes it's stuff about home, stuff not about home. But that episode, abantu like really seem to enjoy it, and I literally was a student. Like I felt like I was in class, but it was so important. And I think it just goes to what you're saying, Uti. I think people are now mindful, Uti. Actually, we have to preserve our culture. And even people who are outside of home, Tina, and all that, you're now living in a world where really people are anti-immigrants, and countries are nationalizing. So now you have to have your own identity that you stick to. So that's why, you've nailed it, to preservation of culture. So I wanted to ask about talk about identity, right? And I know this is something that you've talked about before, about food identity, right? Because I know what I like about what you do is not just about food. It's food, culture, it's family, but maybe food just sort of taking that central piece in terms of how it connects us. So I'm just interested in, yeah, what did you always, because every time I listen to you, I'm like, how did you know about this? How did you know what is lesi? This is this something you've learned since you've started, or are you now drawing on things that you're like, I feel like I knew this when I was growing up, but yeah.
Oh yeah. So I think now the audience, now since we've got a global audience on YouTube, an audience can pick when someone is or when you're acting. It's easy to actually draw the line. So now Ugo Mankomo, she's from, let's talk about the trees. She's a herbalist. So Nkula, she take me then see but there I wasn't conscious. You just like do something, but you're just writing on your unconsciousness. So then when you grow older, and remember, consciousness, everyone needs consciousness one point in one time. And the more you grow older, the more you just need this light to shine through you. So when it shines through you, you now go deeper within yourself. It's like, but no, I remember this is what my grandmother used to tell me. So it's like, it now goes back to like riding a bicycle after 10 years. Yeah, you still haven't lost that touch, but it's still there. What you want is just to start again. And natural. And remember, Tina, as African people, we come from a spiritual essence. Our spiritual being is more important than the physical. So that's why, like, colonizers, they didn't get that. Because our Kailamayama cultures, they are more on the physical level. Tina, we're more on the metaphysical. Which is more on the spirit, and the spirit sort of like guides who I am. But now for spirits to be there, it needs an open heart. It needs someone who's willing to do good to the world. His spirit doesn't work now with bad intentions, although it's another topic there on its own. So what we're doing now is just let the spirit guide you in everything that you do, and because it knows. So we are just a passenger, and so that's where the thing came in from. So that's where the identity. And so when literally when you say Magriza Made Me Cook, literally it was Sikula. Prince Bella, Stieleli Jopele, Bella started Amazamba. Bella, so what she was doing me, she was like forming my identity. Because remember, culture has got so many facets. We look at music, that's culture. We look at food, that's culture. We look at architecture, that's culture. The way that we dress, it's architecture. Our hair, that's culture. So Magriza decided, no, let me just look at the element of what? Of food. Now, Kylie, food, where you've got an identity with your food, trust me, you've got an identity with yourself. Because every day we have to look down to the plate. Every day we have to cook. Without food, we will never be able to survive. But now the question is, what's on your plate that makes you have this identity? As have this identity of, are you proud of what's on your plate? So Kula that now Gogo, it's slowly every day. Even Kare sister alive. Is in Kulile. We are. As I'm saying, this thing was on fast and and so on, because she's still because ufunda doesn't stop. Ufunda kuphelele isikolo, but there are life lessons that you every day, every single day, the universe is trying to tell you something. So you just need to open up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So so just diving a little bit into like your episodes, like what episode, I know this is going to be a tough question, but what episodes sort of made the biggest impact on you so far?
So far. So okay, so what we have on the show, it's a working philosophy. I would also like to share with the audience, is if you're a creative, Tina on our side, the energy that we put on every video on Magriza, if you just watch Magriza, it's sort of like it's linear, or you can say circular. Because we believe that if we work and we premise our success or on our work on numbers, we'll actually lose it at the end of the day. So guys, let's build the relationships. So on Magriza, the first thing is to build relationships, then record. It's not record, then build the relationship. No, because sometimes as creators, we get lost in content creation. As I wonder, when you go to an event, everyone is on their phone.
Yep, yep.
Then you're like, okay, what am I doing here? I thought I was creating come network, but everyone is thinking about creating content. We've lost our way in creating content. Then we forget human relations. If it all comes to the West, don't record it. But you've got something that you learned, take it home with you. Because if you go there and you say, guys, keep it coming.
Yeah, yeah.
No. People will see. Then also, I want you after content, they don't give you. They don't give you anything much. So in terms of the episodes, the biggest, the one that happened was Amakosa's map. I think that's one that sort of played the trajectory of Magriza Made Me Cook, and it was based on that idea that I saw in the Eastern Cape. So when the Eastern Cape, then I used to tell people, no, let's Zimbabwe Lamatkos. People like, so subconscious that I also want to one day to do an episode on Amakosa Zimbabwe, but also to show the cultural diversity that's there in our country in Zimbabwe. You would think that Zimbabwe is a true two-tribe state when you look at it from one perspective, but there's so many ethnic groups in Zimbabwe, and we're all interconnected as one, all connected as one, and we share the same worldview, same experiences. Our food is identical, our clothing is identical, the language is identical. So that was the close to Zimbabwe. The next one was there's the one that we did in Harare. It was called Harare Unread. So when we got there, then this guy is a prime master, but the hospitality that guy gave us, and but that's I think about like $20 there. But fun enough, spend like $20 on there.
Wow.
Because that guy took care of everything. But at that time, Chris, I think they only 400 subscribers. But that guy was like, no, you guys came from Bulawayo. They don't mind. You guys actually saw like gold in me. So like, now take care of everything. Just tell me what you need. Then there was I think Egambo Mawks. Umbo is doing incredible work. So getting that, and also the fun part about that shoot was what a figure from SA, what was taking corner magic. Namhlanje daily, so mali so there's a match that we to organize, and we did a shoot with it. It was incredible. Spoke to a mother, we spoke to a brother, former teachers. So there's something also on our line. Then another one, let me just give you three more. The Bakalanga documentary. I love that one. I love because I also I've got blood, Bakalanga blood from my mother's side. So it's very, going there was like out of this world. And we also did one, I think 2 months back, where we're now focusing on their dance culture, because the Bakalanga are the custodians of dance in Zimbabwe. Then another one was I think the one that we did 2 weeks back, King's Leaders. Yeah, Kim Zillas was awesome. And there's several different people come from different nations coming to celebrate a king. That was awesome. The last one would be the last one would be, I think, Berita. Sisu Berita. Yeah. Sisu Berita, that was incredible doing the story with the grandmother because we share the same story. It's like so that chemistry on set. It was nice. It was nice. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Thank you for that. I really enjoyed the Amakosa one. When you went to MMMC, because ngilomza wami ozalelwa khona. So I was quite familiar with, the culture because I've been there a few times. And I always used to be fascinated, like you say, when you're young, right? Sakhulila ko Bulawayo, and then you'd have these Xhosa people, like one or two, and you're just like, I want to lava, and sometimes you're not really, maybe interested in learning about like their culture, because obviously they would learn isiNdebele and learn our culture. And obviously now with us traveling, they go to SA and they're like fish in water because culture gafana. So I thought it's a tribe that is kind of near to me because I also went to school in Tamazindune, John Talek. So there were obviously people from there, like Ababe either Sonta Corner or like who used to go to school there. So yeah, that is one of my favorites.
Thank you.
So I think you've kind of alluded to it about your team and all that. Your production value is just top notch, guys. It is amazing. We may have to ask for your services because I'm watching. I'm like, hey, so I mean, kind of talk me through Uti. So you've talked about a team. So who does the editing and all that sort of stuff? And are these people who also do other things, or because like being a creative and all that, sometimes you do things with there's a passion for it, but financially, sometimes these things, they don't really sustain the passion that you have. So I was really interested. I was like, who's doing the editing? How does that process work from content to publishing?
Okay. So when we started Magriza, the first, let me not say Magriza or the channel, because I said 10 episodes, 2020, 21st February, that was the first upload. Was Pegele kitchen my brother offered, it's got a nice kitchen, like, okay, start cooking and start shooting. So there we had hired someone to do the work. Great guy, but I think only in terms of the vision. To me, I want to take, even now, so I'm still not happy. I want to take Magriza to the global stage in terms of the production. So we need to have that 1% effect every day. Let's improve 1%. So that's we uploaded one. I think it's a kitchen. So then there was only YouTube autoplay. So we So in video, I think there was Gordon Ramsay, if I'm not mistaken, because since it's a food, the algorithm picked that it's food. We saw that there is a difference in the quality between the two. So then I was telling this guy, Uchimban, who's the editor, my friend, best friend. He said, no, I don't want that. I want someone to say, no, we really do Africa, yes, ma'am. Yeah, like to justify, I wish sharp, the quality, way Africa. I don't want that. I want, although we're not saying we are going to be at par, no. But guys, let's get some of the basics correct. Let's get our audio correct. Let's get our scripting. And also on the technical, so I'm on a story. This integrally is a story. I think people get now more fascinated about the equipment. And equipment is improving every day. 8K, they're now talking about 12K, material, the whole house. But what doesn't change or what is considered over time is someone's story.
Yeah.
So now if you master telling someone's story, the equipment just complements the work of the story. So equipment becomes 20% of this 80%. So 80%, if someone's got a good story, you can shoot it on an E250 and people will listen because the story is very important. So that, okay, as brilliant a story, let's get these stories that are going to last lifetime. Because also that's where Magriza now focuses on our stories. That's why we've been inconsistency in this because of equipment and so on. But I say, okay, so now keep a video, guys. I want that video someone 10 years from now can say, no, we are see culture. So what the story has to be drafted in a perfect way. And now the technical, that's where Utembani comes in. He's a beast now in terms of production. He comes from the musical background. He also does musical, producer beat. He's a DJ, he does live sound. So the one thing that Magriza, we always make sure is the sound is on point. You rather have bad picture, but you can hear what that person is saying.
Yeah.
So Tembani is now also with time develop that skill. Yeah, I think 120 episodes now. Is every episode put us really improve on this, put us really improve on that. And also on this side, they'll say, okay, since I write the show now, but also improve on how we tackle the story. So also other guys that have come in, we've got our drone guy, Ishmael Kandla. We started with him on episode 12. We've grown with him. Became part of the team. Then there's a guy called Tamsan Usman. He does the set design. The pictures that you see is one saying, "Oh, this on this frame." There's a guy called Xolie Motohe. There's also the cinematographer. Is also coming on the set. So those guys have complemented my work. But bottom line is, all of those guys believe and love African thought. I think that's the first thing that I get someone. Angifuna umuntu ozafike ichothoze ukudla kwesintu or efike sithi no, loco, it's primitive. There's nothing to do. I really, if you are in that mindset or in that ideology, Magriza, you won't work well on us because now we are so much African. And we just want to expose that on the show. Black, proud, and for us to be proud, I'm not just saying to you can see that someone is black and proud by what they wear, what they eat, what they say, what they listen to, which music are you listening to. So that is now the production aspect of Magriza Made Me Cook. But the 1% rule, want to improve every 1% with every upload, every single.
I like that. I like that. Yes, I'm taking notes. Remind me at the end. I'm going to share the nuggets of wisdom that you've been dropping. I like the 1% rule, and I think it can apply in every area of life. And this, you talked about the sound. Yeah, like when you say, because sound is one of those things that you only pick up if it's wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, actually, I think your sound is great because sometimes you watch things, and sometimes like I watch our things and I'm like, sound. But I was like, your sound is amazing. You guys are doing great work. So kind of touched on Uguti. You want to take Magriza to the global stage, and it's sort of like, and how I've always thought about these things, even with the work that we try to do, is telling local stories with international quality.
Thank you.
Because it shouldn't be a case. It's just like even music or whatever, right? It shouldn't be a case of it's okay for Zim people and exactly, because you want someone to be able to, like you said, Wuti, watch MasterChef. Then the next thing it comes to Magriza Made Me Cook. So what are your plans? And maybe people that are watching and they're like, you know what, we support Magriza Made Me Cook. How can we help you guys with that vision? Because sometimes, you know, as viewers, we just watch, we consume, but maybe there's things we could do. Because I know I see you're wearing your Magriza Made Me Cook t-shirt. So, you know, things like merchandise, like what is the plan to just continue helping your brand grow?
Okay, I think on the global, just to on the global, I always tell creators when you open a YouTube channel, that's global, because it's not restricted to only your country. So you can't say I'm New Zealand. No. Content might be about Lubebe, but it's actually accessible to the whole world. So we always need to localize. And I think to me, context is very key in terms of content creation. What are you saying? But if you can say, so for Magriza, the global item that you see on the show is just one thing. We just put subtitles. That's global. So I'm saying, okay, the Kulman is Kalang, but we're also going to put for a market that does not understand is Kalang. But also the subtitling is not to say that that language that was subtitling is superior than this one. No. But I just want you to get a feeling and understanding of what this person is saying.
Yeah.
So in terms of our plans, personally, I would want to travel all the 54 countries across Africa. I think that's my goal. And we just said Maya, I think about 2 months back, and sharing that vision. He's been a pioneer. He's a pioneer in that. Also getting some wisdom on how we can do that. Go cook in Kenya, go cook in Egypt. So one thing that we want to do is travel extensively across Africa. But charity begins at home. Want to travel extensively across the 10 provinces in Zimbabwe, so that we can go outside. Because Zimbabwe to me is such a beautiful country, beautiful cultures, beautiful ethnic groups. So we need to start at home, learn ourselves more at home, travel across. So we've done that, but we just want to add in more places to travel. So creating content takes money. I think that's another thing that's sort of like creatives, especially with the endaweni is how do you make money to support your dream? So Magriza Made Me Cook, it's not only about the YouTube, we're also saying, okay, let's take this as a business model.
Yeah.
So the business model, we can build something that when I'm now there with the ancestral world, can take over this thing and it becomes something that someone can. So for us to do that, we need to build a model, we need to build a system. So that's where the merchandising now comes in. We started doing merchandise, also going to extend our merchandising line, getting more products. So that someone wants a cap, someone wants a mouse pad. There's something that relates to Magriza. But within that merchandising, we also don't want to get lost in the commercial aspect. We also want to preserve our culture within those merchandising. So someone has got a mouse pad, but in that mouse pad, something that can actually link them back to who they are. They're wearing something that they sort of feel proud when they're in the money. Because also losing yourself in making money, you also lose the essence sometimes of yourself. Remember, what's important is preserving this thing that the universe has like bestowed upon us. So, and also in terms of crowdfunding, there's a GoFundMe that we opened. There's a problem that we had with our equipment, I think about 3 months back. Laptop and those things were stolen, but people started supporting there. I think next week or month and thereabout, we're going to create a Patreon account. So those people want to support every month, they can just say, I'm not for $3. It's very important. $3 makes a difference. And Magriza can gather that money and start traveling. Next year, you want to travel. I said, you really want to travel extensively. So, and get these stories and just make our country proud.
Yeah. I know we will support definitely do Patreon, you know, even if like there's, I mean, you will have more, but even if there's like, I don't know, 20 people, what it goes a long way. So definitely do that. And you know, siyabe sili thandazela and, you know, wishing you well. And you definitely will travel across, not even across the continent, but across the world. It will happen.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
can assure you,
Thank you.
it will definitely happen.
Thank you.
So I saw something that you did, a bonfire experience, which is part of the Hlanganani Tourism Expo, I believe. So I just wanted to, yeah, find out, are you doing more of these kind of maybe events and things? Because I saw like people commenting and saying, oh, you know, but please tell us next time when it is that we can plan even being at home around that. And I kind of get the sense that there's an appetite for which maybe if you guys were holding, you know, maybe your own Pichani or Tuchani. That's controversial.
Tuche latte pichan.
So things like that, is that on the table? And I know there's a I forget, there's something else that's coming up end of the month, so it may have already come out by the time this show comes out. But yeah, if you could tell us more about just some of the events, get-togethers. Yeah.
Okay, take it back now. The primary goal of MMMC Magriza is to document and serve Africa's diverse food cultures. So I think for the past part of this interview, we're looking at the documentation, us doing the YouTube work and social media. Then there is the serving part. Because I don't want only to say we get a dish from the Babiro, then we only talk about it. I also want that dish to come to people's tables so that we start normalizing these dishes. Because the problem that we lost as Africans, we lost the act of eating these dishes regularly. So to you now, it frightens you. What's this now? In show, I don't eat oxygen. No. But because what you've lost the touch of cooking these dishes. It's our fault also, I think, what to blame, because the number one critic of African food is the African himself. So we want now these dishes now to come to people's plates, people's events, people's places. So now this is where the serving part comes in. So this year, predominantly, we have been looking at the serving part. As I say, the documentation part, because of these challenges, we haven't really put out content like last year. But now we've now been attending events where you can hire Magriza and we do this African cuisine. Because based on that, I want these dishes to be in people's spaces so that people, we go back to normalizing. We go back to like appreciating the food that's there within our homes, within our spaces. So in terms of events, initially we planned one this year, the African New Year on 23rd of September, but also that didn't go well in terms of the planning. But I'm definitely next year we'll start planning for the 23rd of September, which is an important day for us as Africans when you look at the African cosmology, the calendar on its own, something that we love as on the show. So that's things that we're going, and also with time, the bonfires, maybe have a get together with Magriza, come and let's talk food. Yeah, some of them definitely we're going to plan.
Yeah, I know. Please do. I mean, if I'm at home, I would enjoy that. I think I would pay to come, sixoxe, silumkhanga, and all that. Yeah. So, because I had wanted to sort of do a little bit more about you outside of Triple M. Sorry, I nearly said the other triple. Sorry. MC.
Yes.
So, but then what I like is that who you are sort of weaves in like to the conversation. You talked about Tugogo, you talked about growing up in Makwekwe North, you talked about going to East London, and you've talked about your desire for later on passing this on to the next generation. So I like that sort of you are like who you are shows up
Thank you.
in everything. But so I guess just to as we sort of wind down, we talked a lot about, preserving of culture and all and that sort of stuff. But outside of Tina, our culture, what cuisines do you enjoy? That are not maybe not even African.
Okay. Ubuntu wami, uMakhosi, is a food scientist also. Wahlala isikhathi eside Italy, so he came back. We've got that Italian influence also on. So Italian cuisine, it's something that also that I love. Something that I would eat. Also in primary school up at 6, I went to be a chef in Joburg. The spare steak range. So spare steak and so on. So also something that when it comes, I can actually prepare that cuisine, because I also get apart from this. Like, yes, I can, but I was just still trying to feed this baby that's 2 months old. Often attention, often presence, the African. But remember, also when you start traveling, there are other places where you can't find this food that we talk about. So you also need to assimilate yourself within the community. Yeah, so I think it has to be Italian. The pastas, pizza, no, obviously steak. Used to be a seafood guy.
Yeah.
There's a spiritual journey that I studied, so I cut off like in and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I normally eat that, but I used to love fish or prawns, oysters. Oh, I used to love that. Staying in East London, also traveling sometimes to Cape Town. Those were the days.
Oh, wow. Oh, Magriza Mahlangu is your brother.
Yeah, he's firstborn. He's Bulo.
Wow, it makes sense. So I don't know him. I know him through Twitter.
Yeah, that's my brother.
And I know, like, because he tweets a lot about puts the hashtag our food, our heritage. So
Yeah, the book that he wrote. Yeah,
it's making sense. Okay. Mahlangu family is the custodian of food culture, clearly.
Funny enough, also because Sibang 5, Marcos is the firstborn, then Usisi is secondborn. I'm a twin. I'm Lipash, my way. With sister, she's in Joburg. She stays in Joburg. Then the last born is Puna Tunja, Ndoliku. All of us are foodies. We like cooking. Everyone loves food within the family. So sometimes when we get together, it becomes a challenge. I'm a parent. So we come from a family of foodies, family of people who appreciate food. Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that passion with us. It's amazing. So I know I've taken a lot of your time, but I wanted to share with you I was not joking when I said I've been taking notes. Obviously, I couldn't take as many. So I really enjoyed our conversation. And actually, you say things that for me, I'm going to take on. And as someone who's in creative space, and sometimes you do get a bit like, why are we doing what we're doing? But you've said some things that, so I've made four points, right? 4 nuggets of wisdom from Prince Sivalo Mahlangu. 1, master the art of storytelling. I thought that was interesting because it's about the story. It doesn't matter about the equipment, but it's about the actual story. That's what brings people in. Another one, number 2, relationship before content. That is so important because you can't just be like, I want content. It comes across if you don't have a relation. And that is so that is so important. It reminds me, not to sort of go, but I've been doing versions of this for many years of my life. Like, I started doing blogs, and there's a particular person, I won't say who, but I was always a fan of this person. So I always used to just support the person for years before I asked them for a favor, which was coming onto the show. And then when I asked, they were like, yeah, because for years I've been cultivating, and it wasn't for the purposes of coming on the show, but it was just for years I kind of had that relationship with them. Anyway, I'll say who it is.
I think I know the person. Can I take a guess?
Yes.
Ubongeziwe.
Oh, well, I wish. So Ubongeziwe, yes, but I feel like he has so many fans that it would be so hard for him to that one was a stroke of luck, to be honest. Because I don't know, the person is Umakho Ndlovu.
Oh, yes.
Umakho Ndlovu, because I literally just followed her journey from the beginning and everything. So by the time I was like, oh, can you come? She was like, yes. I was like, okay.
Because you built that relationship.
Yeah. And it's so important. And even if she didn't come, it wasn't about her coming onto the show. But what you said, like, it took me back to that it's not about content, it's about relationships. And then number 3, you said the greatest commodity is wisdom. That is so true. And then the last one, 1% improvement every day.
Every single day.
I love that. 1% improvement every day. So no, Prince, I have enjoyed talking to you. I'm such a big fan of what you're doing. What you're doing is so, like you said, you just came in with a different angle. And it wasn't just about content, it was about, you have this deep desire, Uti, you know what, we need to preserve, and that you want to be part of us preserving our culture. And I think what I've noticed and what I hope more people do is, especially people from the south of Zimbabwe, for different reasons, just because, you know, state media sometimes doesn't really reflect our culture and all that sort of stuff. But actually, I think that the digital world has sort of helped bring us together.
Yeah,
so
true.
I want to thank you. But I've said a lot, because, you know, that's what happens when I'm in front of people that I'm a fan of. But before we close, any last words that you wanted to say to our audience?
Actually, I appreciate the podcast. Fun enough, when I started the YouTube, I am a person who loves to research first. So in the episode, we just go and a taste of Nambia food. Not to say like see what other people have done, but how can we complement what these people have done? Remember, competition is also a killer for creatives. When you start competing, you actually lose yourself. You are now looking at what the other person is doing on the other side. So every time as a creative, your work should complement another creative on the same avenue, on the same road that you guys are going. So I did the research, and I felt I came across Girls in the Sky, the podcast. So I watched so many Tandegile interview. I watched Samantha interview. Because I listened so much to Ubongeziwe. Was that I think the Major League, the interview that he did in Major League, and I was like, no. What we're doing is actually the same thing. And it's very important now as African people, as Black people, that we start uniting. There's just so much Black on Black hate across the world. So that's one thing that we need to solve it. So your work, sort of like now, because what we need is to unlearn so many things that we're told about ourselves. I think that's a critical thing that we need as Black people. So that when we unlearn, we can start appreciating the things that Somandla just gave us, because we're so beautiful. We're the first people on earth, so it means our culture is very important. Other cultures basically became plagiarized from African culture, so it's something that we need to hold and preserve. So Ntalubonga on the audience there, each and everyone that's going to comment, each and everyone that's supporting your work, each and everyone that is sharing your work. Because another support is if you can share someone's work, you are actually supporting their work. Because when you share that person's work, share, retweet, those are very important. It means you're taking that creator's work into a market that is not within the creator's feed. Very important. So shout out to people who do that. Shout out to people who pray for us. Shout out to people who reach out and give us ideas. And shout out to people who offer constructive criticism. That's also another important thing. Criticism and constructive. When I say constructive, I'm saying, no, the sound was, you guys are doing a good job. But next time, can you just bring the mic closer so that I can like criticism, which is very man. Because that's quite a very challenge, which is sure this day and age. But that's where wisdom comes in, where you can filter what's good and what's bad. So thank you for the opportunity to be on the podcast. I hope also to come back in Konam. Anytime is part 2, 3.
Yes.
Because I already culture but thank you for having me on the podcast.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Lami, I hope, maybe from at home. I think I'd really love to like live and direct. Lami, you
yeah. Please come.
No, I would really love that. I've always wanted to do it's just money. Like I love the idea, like how you guys do it, where you, because you're creating for YouTube, I guess. So it's just the, where you're able to get a visual, like you're in the kitchen. I've always wanted that sort of thing. That's my vision of like even maybe recording people around the table where Sila and
when you start visioning, you mean something that's been given to you.
Yeah.
Because without vision, so it's something that is our lucky boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one day it will just open up. It will just open up.
I receive it. No, Prince, I can talk to you for the whole day. So guys, we've been talking to Prince Sivalo Mahlangu, Magriza Made Me Cook. We will put the links to all our social media. He mentioned that there's a GoFundMe. They're going to be starting a Patreon. There's merchandise. So guys, let us support. Thank you so much.